Hello, good evening. Welcome to Prime Business with me, Pius Kojo Baka. To our details. Senior finance lecturer at the University of Cape Coast Business School, Seriam Kawo, has ruled out any significant changes to Ghana's economic program with the IMF when it is submitted to Parliament for scrutiny. Now, his comment follows announcement by the fund's country representative that Ghana's program with the IMF will be submitted before Parliament for scrutiny and approval when the House resumes. Some MPs have questioned why the program document has not been laid before Parliament. But reacting to the issue, Seriam Kawa believes nothing significant can be reviewed under the program.
When you read the entire documentation and the program that has been sent to IMF, for me, there will not be a way for Parliament to ask for a review of some of the conditions. These conditions that have been laid in the document are conditions that are going to force the managers of the economy to do the right thing. They are conditions that are going to bring some amount of fiscal discipline into our public spending. Let us remember that this is not the first time we have gone to the IMF. And so these conditionalities that we are talking about are going to bring macroeconomic stability and restore the country to the level that we want to be, where the debt levels are unsustainable. And these conditionalities are there to ensure that we bring the debt level down up to about 55%. And a lot of the things are going to inure to the benefit of the country, and parliamentarians are going to be happy about some of them. Some of these conditionalities, they've already started implementing them already. Parliament has passed the 3 revenue bills. These bills have been passed. We already have the automatic adjustments in the fuel prices and our our utility sector. So these are not new things that they'll be aware. They are all aware of it, and they cannot pretend they don't know what is in that document.
Now, President Akufo-Addo has called on African countries to work together in the development of agriculture to drive intra-Africa trade for economic growth. According to him, such a move would enhance continental integration. He said the African Continental Free Trade Area could be a key game changer in advancing Africa's growth if countries commit to its principles. President Akufo-Addo was speaking in Accra during the opening session of the 7th African Leadership Forum.
Like the vision of our forebears, the AfCFTA has set the stage for Africa's industrialization and transformation. What is required now is for our respective governments and businesses to show bold leadership. We need coherent and complementary strategic actions by governments and businesses, the right mix of policies and strategies for exports, value addition to raw commodities, and a greater sense of purpose to ensure a robust intra-Africa trade, to drive agricultural growth, economic diversification, and the much-needed industrialization of the continent. We must consolidate the successes so far, and with a sense of urgency, develop the signature solutions needed to deepen intra-African trade and spur impact investments needed to bring prosperity to the continent and her people. And we must do this with fearless determination. Then we shall put Africa to work and repudiate the recent culture of failure. We shall then take our rightful place in the world, especially if we achieve the difficult target of silencing the guns, without which we cannot attain our objectives of building a free, prosperous, democratic, united Africa, governed by the rule of law, respect for human rights, and the principles of democratic accountability.
And Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, Wamkele Mene, noted that food insecurity, rising costs of food, inflation and poverty have distorted Africa's goal of ending hunger by 2025. He reinforced the need to accelerate trade to make Africa a net exporter and accelerate the removal of barriers to intra-Africa trade to ensure the free flow of food materials.
It is possible for our continent to be self-sufficient, to provide food for herself, and to unlock opportunities, job opportunities for young Africans in the area of agriculture and agro-processing. Therefore, there is an imperative for us to accelerate trade in agricultural products, basic agricultural products, to enable our communities, the rural communities, smallholder farmers, to be part of the value chain of agricultural products trade in Africa. This is why the African Continental Free Trade Area is so critical. It positions our continent to take advantage of the resources that we have, to create jobs, to enable smallholder farmers to be part of trade in Africa. Trade in agricultural products will enable our continent to overcome this challenge of being a net food importer. It is only through efficient cross-border trade that Africa can ensure that the people of this continent who have the surplus food are able to export their huge capacities to other parts of the continent to overcome food deficits and food insecurity.
And former President of Tanzania, Dr. Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, who also addressed the forum, tasked African leaders to increase investments in agriculture to enable the sector to take in its rightful role in Africa's development.
Agriculture is the mainstay of the majority of the people of sub-Saharan Africa. Agriculture is the backbone of the economies of the majority of countries of sub-Saharan Africa. Agriculture accounts for a large share of the GDP of our countries, and it is a major source of foreign exchange earnings, a source of food, a source of raw materials, and a major source of employment. There is no sector that employs so many people on the continent more than agriculture does. However, this important sector has not been able to perform optimally because of the many constraints impeding full exploitation of its potential. Therefore, for this forum to discuss unlocking the agricultural potential of Africa, it is the right thing to do. Mr. President, I would like to seize this opportunity to acknowledge the efforts being made by African governments, the African smallholder farmers and large-scale farmers, and other stakeholders to transform African agriculture. A lot of ground, a significant ground has been covered, and a lot has been achieved so far. However, much more needs to be done to make agriculture play its rightful role in the growth and development of African nations and the well-being and prosperity of the people of Africa. So far, so good, but it's not good enough, as evidenced by the levels of poverty in rural areas, where many of our people live and depend on agriculture, and the never-ending reports of people who suffer from food shortages and hunger in Africa. Reports of Africa still spending huge sums of our hard-earned forex importing food are not pleasant to hear, to continue to hear. Likewise, reports that Africa is still exporting primary raw agricultural raw materials to the developed world and importing finished products from the raw materials we exported is not so good.
Moving on to some other business stories, there has been a second day of chaos for thousands of travelers at London Heathrow after British Airways cancelled at least 42 more flights due to the impact of an IT failure. British Airways said cancellations are still happening due to the knock-on effect of a technical issue resulting in staff being in the wrong location. Around 16,000 passengers have been affected by the cancellations. It comes on the busiest day for UK air travel since 2019. Most of the affected flights are departing from or arriving at Heathrow. Meanwhile, here in Ghana, scores of passengers who traveled with British Airways from London to Accra have expressed their disappointment with the airline after they got to the Kotoka International Airport and realized that their luggage was left in Heathrow, London. Now, the passengers said they were left confused after they were informed that their luggage was dropped due to overload of the airplane. But there have also been delays to other flights, while some passengers have been unable to check in online. Deputy Head of Special Investigations at the Internal Audit Agency, Frank Amedume, says weaknesses in the financial control systems of state institutions need to be tackled head-on with the support of all stakeholders. Speaking at the inauguration of audit committees for the health sector institutions under the Ghana Health Service in Sunyani, Mr. Amedume urged members to offer sound financial systems to curb the weakness in the management of public finances at the various institutions. Precious Semevo has more.
In the 2021 Auditor General's report, the majority of the over 1 million irregularities identified are on health institutions, a sign of weak internal control systems with consequences on national development. The formation of audit committees under the Public Financial Management Act 2016 is to improve control structures for the proper use of public resources. At the inauguration of 21 audit committees of the health sector institutions under the Ghana Health Service in the Bono East and Ahafo regions, Deputy Head of Special Investigations at the Internal Audit Agency, Frank Amedume, explained why the committee was restructured.
They used to have the audit committees established some 2 years ago, but it was not functioning. The reason being that they are being challenged with funds. So based on that, the committee has been restructured, where they have 2 or more facilities coming under one committee for effective and economic reasons. Once they come together, we believe strongly that they will be able to put resources or pull resources together in order to support the committee functionally.
He said public resources would be protected if committee members offer sound financial measures to curb the weak financial control systems.
As a committee, they need to pursue the head of entity to implement the recommendations contained in internal auditors' quarterly reports, auditor general reports, even decision from parliament, among others. So looking at the caliber of people that we have this time on the committee, we expect that they will advise management on sound financial systems so that the weaknesses in the control system of the various institutions, so far as the health facilities are concerned, will be a thing of the past. Once we have the audit committees, workable and of course in place, I think they will be on management to make sure that these lapses will be a thing of the past. They can't do this all alone. They need to bring on board management and all stakeholders.
Bono Regional Director of Ghana Health Service, Dr. Kofi Amokodie, expects the members to have a listening ear to ensure value for money.
The normal way of doing it is procuring and also getting disbursement of monies are sometimes not done the appropriate way. But with the inauguration of this committee, the service stands a chance of being guided and guarded in a way that they will be able to provide the maximum for the service and for the service to grow. They should be disciplined themselves, working together with other people, and they should have a listening ear. They have to make sure that whatever they receive as a report is duly scrutinized. If possible, second opinions are taken before they go out shouting.
Precious Semevo, Joy Business, Sunyani.
Now, Ghana's leading total beverage company, Guinness Ghana, has hosted a celebration of all-new Gordon's Pink Spirit drink. The event, dubbed Gordon's Pink Soiree, was tailored for selected media personalities and influencers at the Pearly Gate Gardens here in East Legon, Accra.
The newest addition to Guinness Ghana's portfolio, Gordon's Pink Spirit drink, celebrated guests at the soiree. It brought together the best trendsetters, content creators, and influencers who were immersed in an organic and unforgettable user experience. Speaking at the event, Director of Innovation and Marketing at Guinness Ghana, Estella Muzito, says her outfit prides itself in innovation in order to meet customer demand.
in service of our consumers, just ensuring that we are providing you with more exciting experience, more exciting brands. We look for a way to give you a chance to enjoy a very popular brand within our stable, Gordon's, a gin that has actually the world's leading gin. Bring it here to Ghana in a way that's even more exciting, and that's in this pink, lovely pink gin form. And so what we're doing today is recognizing that launch of the brand. It's still a baby, but we've had some amazing reviews, and we hope that in the course of this evening, you'll get to try it and also encourage more people to try it.
For her part, Managing Director of Guinness Ghana, Helen Weezy, used the occasion to woo enthusiasts into patronizing the drink.
It shows you're open, you're optimistic, you're really ready to take something new. And it's about being bold. Male, female, that doesn't matter. What really matters is you find your perfect mix, the way to drink it. For me, my mix, it's actually a golden stinkberry with a tonic and then a few dashes of lemon in it. Great, I can recommend that.
Addressing the media, Marketing Manager Innovations at Guinness Ghana, Michael Champon, shed more light on the campaign slogan, Pink Differently.
It's all about a movement. Earlier on, or initially, we know pink to be very feminine in nature, but now it's just beyond females. It's a misgender that is driving pink. And pink is not just a color for us, it's a movement, it's the energy, it's the vibe, it's more progressive in nature. And so we encourage everyone to pink differently. And in that pink differently, we ask you to look beyond how you can stand out and how you can be differently in whatever you do.
The product is sold in many pubs, shopping malls and restaurants across the country.
I remind that you're still watching Prime Business with me, Pius Kojo Baka. Now, a national action plan on business and human rights spearheaded by the Attorney General's Office and the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice will rate, rank, and publish businesses' respect for human rights in their dealings. Speaking at a stakeholders consultative meeting on the NAP in the Western region, lead anchor and member of the steering committee, Victor Brobe, said the extent to which companies respect human rights and have policies in place will account for their position on the ranking table. Maxwell Agbagba has more.
Perpetrators are punished. That will serve as a deterrent to others.
The Western North Regional Director of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Eric Kumi Inta, sharing some of the cases his office has been dealing with and how the new National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights will help address the problem.
It's a case that came to our office, and it's involved one of these hospitals. The Reverend Father, who is the director, sexually harassed an administrator, and the case came to our outfit. And what I said was that we were on the case where, in fact, the matter went to court when, but later on, the complainant came and withdrew his case. And so we had no strength to, as it were, battle the case again because we were going to lack evidence. We've had complaints about sexual harassment, and it's not one or two. In fact, we've gone into it, and the most painful thing is that the most painful thing is that when it gets to a point where the perpetrators has to face the law, then the complainants will come and withdraw their case. And when that happens, you are stuck because you by all means or definitely need an evidence in court.
The National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights, when activated, would deal with a wide range of business-related abuses like poor remuneration, shoddy work by contractors, abuse of employees by employers, and different forms of human rights abuse in businesses in Ghana. But the issue of sexual harassment in businesses continues to remain topical at the consultation workshops to gather views that will help in the development of the National Action Plan. Lead member of the drafting of the Action Plan and member of the steering committee, Victor Brobe says aside from the issue of sexual harassment, there are multiple issues that affect women in the workplace.
Definitely there will have to be language in the plan in which we'll charge certain regulators and certain policymakers with improving the sexual harassment conditions in Ghana. This might include clarifying rules relating to sexual harassment, and it may also even include just taking steps to improve gender-based workplace discrimination, broadly speaking. Because even beyond sexual harassment, there were issues that arose in respect of promotions. There were issues that arose in respect of the pay gap, women just getting paid less than men. So there are sort of multiple issues that exist when it comes to women in the workplace that we need to pay attention to. And
let's now get the latest stock market update with Head of Trading at Republic Securities, Patrick Edem-Agama.
On the stock market this week, trades were recorded in 20 equities. Total volumes traded increased slightly by 7.2% week-on-week to 6.5 million shares. Total values traded, however, dropped by 88.2% to 7.8 million Ghana cedis. MTN Ghana led in both volumes and values traded by 58% and 54% respectively. The GSE Composite Index fell sharply on the back of 5 stocks to close the week at a year-to-date of 3.11%. The loss on the Financial Stock Index deepened to close the week at a year-to-date of negative 18.26%. There were 3 gainers and 5 losers. Farm Milk, Unilever, and Total gained some pesos to close at 1 cedi 30 pesos, 6 cedis 8 pesos, and 6 cedis 45 pesos respectively. Standard Chartered Bank lost a peso to close at 12 cedis 50 pesos per share. GCB lost 4 pesos to close at 3 cedis 15 pesos per share. MTN lost 4 pesos to close at 1 cedi 10 pesos. Benso Oil Palm lost 1 cedi 11 pesos to close at 13 Ghana cedis. Enterprise Group Limited lost 27 pesos to close at 2 cedis 43 pesos per share. For next week, we expect to see more traction in MTN and Farm Milk as demand mounts. We also expect to see more selling pressures in banking stocks.
Patrick Edem-Agama is the Head of Trading at Republic Securities with the latest from the stock market. And that is it for Prime Business for today. I am Pius Kojo Baka. You can always get business stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Pleasure serving you. Do enjoy the rest of our programs. We leave you.